Hello, everybody. This is Lance, and welcome to part 4 of reacting to an honest conversation with Pirate Software. I'm going to get right into it.
That's not
Yeah,
that's not how I am. That's not the person I am.
so I think
Check
it's
audio
an
levels.
issue of, so you mentioned
Oh,
When
whoops.
the scenario is like super vitriolic, it's comfortable to sterilize
Yep.
it. It's comfortable to have like more of a logical conversation about it because it's easier to process.
Yep.
It is less easy to like if I'm gonna have a big emotional response, I feel like I'm being manipulative.
He kind of talks a little fast. I notice when he speaks right now, he's starting to speak pretty quickly, which is interesting.
To another person, because I could do that. I could just sit down and be like, I'm gonna have a big emotional response now, but that's not that's not how I am. That's not the person I am.
So I think it's
Okay, because it's not a 1.5. It is somehow multiplying the 1.5 from before with another 1.5 or something like that.
it's an issue of, so you mentioned at some point that
That's actual speed. I'm definitely not doing this on actual speed, guys.
this has been a challenge that you've had before. I don't even remember what we were talking about. So I think it's really about, and this is for anyone else too, like, you know, we all just have to decide. When you say this is the person that I
feel
am,
like it's slow.
we all just have to decide whether we want to continue. Am I just saying, hey, this is who I am and I don't want to change this? And then
No,
no,
I don't think that's the case.
well,
Well, what's wrong with that though? In some cases, like here's the thing, like
I'm giving options. So I'm sort of speaking rhetorically, right? So we all have to make decisions for ourselves about, if this is the way that I am, do I want to continue to be this way? Do I not want to be?
it's not a choice. It's not always a choice. And here with this man, it's not a choice. That is your folly.
Continue to be this way, and then there's going to be a line in the sand of like what a level of compromise feels authentic and okay, and what doesn't. What feels like growth? What feels like giving a piece of yourself away?
Yeah, because like for me, I feel pretty happy with the way that I communicate generally. I don't generally have a problem with that.
Yet again, the communication's not the problem, right? It's the perception. So I don't have much new.
And I like being able to communicate objectively, either with, you know, in my relationships, friends, you know, people in the community. That feels fine to me. And I think there's a lot of people that actually like that about the way that I communicate. It's like, hey,
I do.
Thor's talking about all the things of all the, because we'll get a whole bunch of stories and come in from the damn internet. They're like, the fucking sky's on fire. And then you look at it and like, the sky's not on fire. This outhouse over here was on fire. It's not that big a deal. Right. And I find that there's very few islands of that shit online, man. Like there's very few islands of people to be like, wait a minute, let's look into that before we start freaking out. Would it be easier for me?
Ironic, right? With your very own story. True.
To just like dive into the emotion first? Yeah. Would it be honest? No.
I mean,
would it be quick views? 100%.
That's what that
Yeah,
was.
None of that shit makes sense to me. And like, that's why I've always communicated that way. And it's not even a thing of like, I'm not willing to change. I'd be lying. Like I'd just be straight up lying about all
This man's never been those allegations ever.
of these scenarios if that was the case. If it
Never
wasn't like,
been the
here's all
autism
things
allegations.
as I see it, here's all the facts as I felt them, right? As the things that I went through, I'd be a piece of shit. I'd be just like a grifter on the internet that's just trying to garner as many views as possible. And that's fucking atrocious. Like I hate that. I really hate that.
What are you hearing me say?
I don't understand.
I think I went on a rant
I know it's right because I didn't really respond to what you're saying.
there. It's not even really about like what you said. It's more like that kind of just like triggered an internal monologue. And I was like, nah. I just went on a rant with it. Yeah.
And I'm with you there. I mean, I think that there are plenty of emotionally manipulative grifters on the internet. And
I'm not even saying that like that's I'm not even like calling people out and saying like,
I
side is emotional grifter. It's more like, dude, like I can see how easy it is to manipulate people emotionally to gain money on the internet.
Yeah.
I don't ever even want to get near that.
So so I have those kinds of thoughts, and I'm pretty sure that they're pretty narcissistic in my head. So when I have a thought like that,
I think I remember what he says here. I do not like this. Honestly.
I'll just like leave this for y'all. I'm not accusing anyone, or certainly not you, but this is just what I've noticed is that sometimes when I'm like jealous of people, this may be just me, who are taking the easy path on the internet, it's really easy to get self-righteous.
I don't think it's easy. No, I mean,
For me,
not like that. I think it comes with other
He rolls his eyes actually, and it's like, well, no, not like that.
negatives, right? Like I'll give you an example, right? You got somebody like Keemstar. Keemstar makes a bunch of content that's based on like
He's talking about someone who's like really just like farming people. He's not talking about that.
calling out scenarios, making a lot of drama, runs Drama Alert, right? I don't envy that. That's got to be a tough as fuck job. That dude probably absorbs more hate than most people on the internet just by the nature of the content that he provides to the internet, which is bombastic, which is divisive, which is emotional. I don't want to get near that because that sounds fucking awful to me and everyone that was engaging in my content.
I see what you mean.
So if I went down that route, I don't think it's easy. I think it would.
This is like so. Wow. This is like. I feel like the view of him being a narcissist is negated so thoroughly in this conversation. if you're paying attention at all. Because we just said is like, yeah, big bad emotions are really scary. Like I need logic. I need like clear, blunt communication. I don't need like all these like this crazy emotion stuff. Like
Be easier to get a
yeah,
reaction,
it makes sense.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's
But the reaction is not what you want.
so. Then I think that's more
Not
from
one, sir.
me. Like I think that's narcissistic. So I think the thought process I have in my head is
Why?
different from what you're describing.
Okay.
But
Okay.
and usually I'll walk myself there, but I have that kind of thought. But anyway, yeah. Any last thoughts or questions before we wrap up for the day?
I'm interested what your
That
thought is.
throwing that out there, I don't like that.
What do you mean?
When you said you had a different thought from like the different pathway for that, like what did you mean?
A different pathway
Oh,
for
Good
Thinking
job.
about that scenario of
the,
like
the
Good
narcissistic
question.
scenario?
Good
So I think it's
question.
similar to what you
It doesn't end up saving you, unfortunately. I get to be from the future, but that is a good question.
do, but I think what I usually do is I notice that I'll see that there are creators that are doing things that I think. So there's one creator in particular that I used to like their content, and I noticed that they basically made a piece of content where there's a subreddit that I frequent, and they basically what they did is they looked at the most upvoted content on that subreddit, made a video where they're literally reading out the top voted content things there.
I see it a lot.
And so I was, and their video did incredibly well.
Yep.
And so what I realized is like, oh, there's this niche subreddit. They're taking the best of this niche subreddit and basically distributing it on another platform.
Mhm.
And so it really like, it's never fun to see. So I was disappointed for two reasons. One is that like, I respected this person's content. Like when they sit down and they actually open their mouth.
But that's not a reason. This is just like, well, yeah, you know, the voice here is so passive. Like I respected their, well, I guess it's not passive voice, just but like I respected their content. You're just kind of implying that you know they like ruined your respect for their content there, and I don't really see
They offer like
why.
commentary, which I assume is maybe it's not, maybe they're just repurposing it from elsewhere. But I really got the sense that this person had done a lot of like thinking about, and their commentary was what I really
But
valued.
maybe they did though. See, this is the thing though. Like, if I don't go look, I don't really know to judge this person based on what you're saying. Right? Like, you're just, in my view, you're not doing a good job of like getting me to think that this is a bad thing, or really getting me to understand how you feel about this event. I don't really get it.
And then I also, so when I saw this piece do well, there were two things that happened. One was that I felt like disappointed in the person. I was like, this is trash content. It's just like repurposed React kind of content.
Well, I don't know. It depends on the subreddit. It depends on the actual insight. Maybe it was highly upvoted, and that's just why they saw it. Maybe they actually did do some amount of research. I don't know what this is even pertaining to, right? This is like a sciencey field. This is like a psychiatric take of some kind, right? Maybe they actually did verify that it was true before making the video. I don't know. I feel like
React content, but it wasn't like, I started to realize why people don't like React content in that moment.
It's the description that people give of slop.
Yeah. So, and then the second thing that
called out, I suppose. Though, I mean, it's definitely way more gangster to react for 3 hours and 36 minutes to that video than it is to, you know, just do this, right? I think it's a pretty fundamentally different thing that he's talking about.
I realized is like, it's always sad to see how well Slop performs.
It does amazing. It's the same.
You know, I don't really quite agree with that. You know, like, it's almost like I've gone so far off the deep end at this point with people that, like, yeah, I don't really feel that way. Because I would just go around hating all of humanity if I felt that way. Because a lot of this feels like slop to me. It's hard for me to enjoy things, like, genuinely, you know? So I just can't afford to have that attitude, I guess.
The same thing that we're seeing with like AI generated art, man. It's the same.
Yeah. So
I see it now. I think the scariest thing that I see, like in the gaming space, AI generated ads for games. And like you get into the game and it's like a phone game and everything's AI.
It's happening. It's literally happening. It was made it predicted a year ago. It's probably happening at the time, but now, oh my gosh, they're so bad.
Generated, the art is like just trash, and they do amazing. Like,
yeah,
hundreds of thousands of downloads, and you're like,
so there are people, and it's interesting, right? Because like game recognizes game, and one of the interesting things about being someone who is arguably knowledgeable in a couple of fields, is I see how easy it is to be successful when
I mean, you gotta be knowledgeable as a psychiatrist, right? Gotta have a little confidence, man. Damn.
you actually don't know what you're talking about. So in like the wellness, medicine, self-help space, there are a lot of people who will talk about science, but there's a big difference between a scientific paper and the implementation of like a clinical intervention.
This is really funny. This is reminding me of when I heard my now fiance, then it was just my best friend, my new best friend, who I just treasured a lot, and hearing that they were throwing up every 3 days, not every 3 days, but like for 3 days, like about every month. And hearing that, I was like, no human being should ever have to suffer through that. And I, the rest of the day, like 8 hours straight, totally locked in. I was just going research paper after research paper. We're talking NIH.gov. I'm not talking like WebMD. Though WebMD sometimes would help point me into a direction, right? It's not like I couldn't use those kind of sources, but mostly it was like going through research papers. And I did actually end up with cyclic vomiting syndrome, which I am pretty sure is the answer. And what's the answer? And then I actually did an intervention, which is she wasn't eating breakfast at all, no breakfast. And I said 1 Oreo. Because Oreos are pretty easy to eat, right? She really liked Oreos. And it's just not that many calories. And it's not a trigger food, which, I had read a lot about. And I just realized like all her trigger foods are fats. It's always a fat. It's always an oil. It's never sugar. So just have some sugar in the morning just to have something, right? Get your weight up a little bit and we'll see how that works, right? Well, turns out she's fine now. It doesn't happen anymore.
And so a big thing that I see a lot, especially in the wellness space, is people will talk about things like dopamine detoxes and stuff like that. There's actually no data behind any of that stuff. They're like, I did a dopamine
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Agreed.
detox for 10 days and here's how it changed my life. And it's like
That
that
makes a good story.
yeah, so it makes a good story. So I think that there's, what I've noticed is that as you kind of dumb things down and make things accessible, your likelihood of like increasing in success goes up. But also you've got to be like super careful. But I think a lot of the stuff that some content creators in the wellness space say like works doesn't really work, right? And that's not the success of the content.
Okay, now it's funny because I am going to criticize Dr. K of this very thing, of things he does that does not work. But there is a type of person that Dr. K is describing here, and the difference between Dr. K and that person is far bigger, in my opinion, than the difference between whether thinking the world is flat or thinking the world is round. The gap is larger than that, honestly. So I know like he's been saying things in this video that I really personally find disagreeable, but that is always in my mind where, I do have to give him credit. It's like part of the reason why I'm reacting to him is because I think he's worthy to react to. Like there's almost like, I don't want it to sound too adversarial, but it's almost like he's a worthy opponent. But like the people he's talking about to me are so boring and they're just trash.
Content is not based on whether it works or not. The success of the content is whether other people think it's or interested in it, basically, right? And the most hilarious example of this is something called what's it called? Not anal bleaching. Sunning your butt or something.
It was getting sun.
I gotta remember. So there was this trend.
It was like
Is
tanning
that
or
where they show their
something.
butts to the sun?
Yeah. So people would do that, right? Because they're like, oh, this
So they
part
absorb
of
the sun through their ass and then like gain
yep.
medical shit.
Absolutely.
I've heard about this.
So the
It's insane.
the really scary thing is that they'll say like, oh, like the butt doesn't get sunlight, right? And then what people don't understand is that since the butt doesn't get sunlight, it is not designed to receive sunlight,
easily.
which means that you will get a sunburn.
You got to sunburn your. Oh.
Yeah, people were getting. So there was like a medical. It was like a medical concern. It was like a public health issue. Like dermatologists were dealing with a bunch of sunburned butts, like not butts, not the cheeks, like the inside, because people would, they'd like open it wide. And because people don't understand that you don't, like if you shave your scalp, I mean, if you shaved your hair today and you walked out in the sunlight, you get a sunburn on your head.
Crazy. Yeah.
So you need a certain amount of melanin, and like we don't have melanocytes in our bunghole
inside. No.
Like we don't have them there.
And no, that goes into like the craziest area of
I actually saw
medical
this too
disinformation
at
is
the
scary.
time.
It's
like
and
super,
it
super
was
scary.
stupid.
That's like the scariest thing.
Let me start.
Because like I think what it goes into is people want to believe it. They want to believe that they can do something. They don't want to feel powerless in a situation like that.
It's pure herd mentality. I don't think because they don't. Why would they have like, why would they want to believe that specifically? They just want to believe that the herd they're going with is a better herd, and I guess that's really what they want to believe. They want to pretend like they're me, but they're not. They're like really not. They want to pretend like when they do their own research, they're doing what I'm doing, and they're just fucking not. They actually just need to be the sheep and me the shepherd and follow me. And they would just
And
have
you
their
have the
lives.
secret knowledge. And the secret knowledge is just behind a $5 paywall. That's only $5.
Oh,
And
by
like,
the way, yeah, key point. I ain't charging. This is just free. People can just access this. And I do honestly like, I don't want to sell a course. It's really hard because like I need to make a living doing it, I feel like, but the monetization aspect is not really there for me. But I am excited with the possibilities of like doing merch. And my fiance is a wonderful talented artist. So I think that like selling merch may be like a really good path for us for monetization that I think a lot of content creators don't have.
I hate that shit. Like I fucking like that. That was like that is actually the reason that we set up the Discord the way that I have it. Like the Discord is literally set up in like, here's focus groups, pay nothing, go talk to people in the field. If I don't know it, one of them will. Go.
He's tried to make a really great Discord, and unfortunately people just have to piss in his cereal. But honestly, his Discord was impressive, and he was trying to like connect people who needed work to people like looking for work in his Discord. It's actually more elaborate and impressive than he makes it sound here.
Right. Go interact with them. Because the idea of like siloing knowledge leads to that shit. It leads to the like, I'm gonna make up some shit. And when I make up some shit, you're gonna sunburn your ass. Like that's
Yeah, so that opens up, I think, other cans of worms, medical disinformation. So like we have paywalled content,
Sure.
and so arguably we're guilty of that, but I think we're not in the same way. And I'm not.
the
I
reason
don't
I
feel
did it this way is it's for areas I don't have knowledge in. I can't answer that, but maybe one of these other people can.
so.
I see. Like I feel like for Hassan, America would be bad for some reason. That's why people are doing it. People are looking for answers. The corporatists don't ever care about them, and that's why they're bleaching their butts. I mean, that's what
a
it would be,
consensus,
right?
not just like a silo.
Anyway, I think
That's
it's
like the narcissist. That's like Trump saying that's why I need a ballroom. He'd be like, yeah, people are bleaching their butts. That's why I need a ballroom, guys.
a fair complaint, and it's criticism that we have been accused of.
Really?
Oh
Like
yeah.
healthy gamer or psychiatrists.
So people think we're very, very like money oriented, which we're sort of money oriented, but like not really.
Your business. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that that too is something that I think is like, I don't like that connotation. So people think that there's like a homogeneity there. So for example, like we launched like a membership in 2023. We have like some paid content and stuff. And the TLDR of it is like, I think it's so interesting to hear, but it was the more free stuff you provide, when you build free stuff for a lot of people, it costs more, which is not
Yes.
something that I understood when I became a content creator.
That is absolutely the case.
And so that was something that like I think a lot of people I feel bad when people think of us as a business because yeah, I mean we're like technically a business, but we don't operate like a business. I mean in some ways we do. But
I think the problem is people don't know how to understand that business and doing something good is not mutually exclusive.
so I would even argue that business and doing something good is the best way to do things.
Yes.
And the reason for that is
I
really
mean,
simple.
now I'm just agreeing with
I
everything
went
they're
to a lot of
saying. I mean,
places where doing good was very separated from business. So the number at the top of the list is like ashrams, nonprofits, spiritual teachers, people who are like philanthropic and were doing things for the good of the world. Generally
Yeah.
speaking, I saw the largest abuses of power in those kinds of scenarios.
it's so funny he says this because it just so turns out that my lovely fiance was working at the Sevierville Humane Society. And a year ago, about when this video was made, I actually said that I thought that a couple of the board members were engaged in tax fraud. And lo and behold, I was right. And the reason why I knew this is because there was a woman who was, everyone thought she was the manager, and she was just a kennel tech. I mean, but she made the schedules. From what I hear, she didn't work. So she ordered stuff, made schedules, and gossiped about people. That's about what she did. And this woman was, again, by all accounts, not liked by those board members. And I'm like, she's not worth keeping around, and you don't even like her. What would the motive possibly be? And I'm like, well, sometimes, what Dr. K just said, like sometimes this is where the greatest abuses of power are, right? And I started looking at their tax returns. Yeah, I'm serious. I pull up their tax returns. They don't itemize nothing. Everything's going in one bucket and coming out of one bucket every year. And what I mean is, like, you don't have to itemize every single thing. That's not the point. Why? But I'm saying you do need to itemize, like, I don't know, like food versus items of just comfort versus like I guess clothing kind of items, like blankets, right? Shelter kind of type items. Like, I feel like you would just have some kind of distinction between things like that. And maybe, there's only 5 or 6 buckets, but that definitely helps a lot in terms of the transparency. And yeah, tax fraud. They're out of the board, and of course the one board member that was being reasonable and who wanted to get rid of this person who is not the manager. She's having to clean it up now. So I'm glad that has been detected, because often in the world it's not. And it's funny, is my fiance and her friend, that's how we knew it's her friend, because she obviously no longer works there. She found out and she was telling us, and I'm like, well, see, now it all makes sense. I felt like you were in clown world the whole time, and that's the only thing about this whole thing that makes it all make sense.
There's a lot of, like, the moment that you become a nonprofit, like I've seen so many toxic work environments in investment banking and in nonprofits. Because in nonprofits, it's like, we're doing it for the ferrets. We can't pay you a lot, but we're doing it for the ferrets. So
that's what they say.
Things that we tried to do very intentionally was like, I'm not your guru.
I am your guru.
If you want my help, I'm going to give you some stuff for free. And if you want this other stuff that takes a lot of energy and resources to build, you got to pay for it. And I think that interestingly enough, when I was training to become a psychiatrist, like, creating a transaction protects us from a feeling of indebtedness. And
I guess, to me, the YouTube channel can just be like a way to sell her art at a fair price. And then, like, you're just getting a good deal for your money anyway.
The moment that you add indebtedness to the equation, the moment you start doing extra for your patients.
It's like a low-key ad for Jenna's art.
Doing things for free. If you do something for free, then, like, it makes things muddy. And that's what happens with a lot of these, like, spiritual organizations. So we kind of very intentionally did it, but we also get criticized for it, which I think is, like, also a fair criticism. Like, I think that the people who say those kinds of things, I think they usually don't have information. But I think that they're, it's a valid criticism on some level.
I think that makes sense. I mean, like, with the rescue, I intentionally did not make it a charity. Like, I was like, I'm not doing that, because the first thing I talked to people, I was like, hey, we're thinking about starting a rescue. First thing that showed up in chat is, oh, you're just going to try and take a tax break. And I was like, that's valid. I'm going to look into this more. And I was like, I don't want to take money from my left hand, put it in my right hand, and be like, I'm not paying taxes on that. Like, that's fucking weird, right? Because it's still technically it's all the same thing. We're all just meeting the same objective.
And you can get investigated for tax fraud.
And I just pay employees and do the whole thing. And, like,
the
rescue makes money. It does. The ad revenue off of that allows me to hire people to run a rescue.
So I
pay for their medical and pay for their food. And, like, that's not small.
I've also seen, I had a job at a place that was a nonprofit with a charitable mission, but was also, like, and the problem is that oftentimes, if you don't structure it like a business, it doesn't stay self-sustainable. Like,
yes.
So that's where things, and I found that, so a lot of times, like, early on when, we started our coaching program, a lot of people wanted to volunteer and we wouldn't let them. And so here's,
yeah. I don't allow volunteers.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing for me is that I've had a rule since the very beginning, which is that you work for me, you get paid. That's it. Because it's so complicated otherwise. It
gets so, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. So I think once you are in a position of, like, managing other people, and also
it makes sense. I feel like Dr. K may have, like, tried this and found out, but I feel like Jason probably has just not even bothered, because emotions are scary, right? You don't want to, like, be indebted to someone and then, like, you feel like you have to give back, and then it's like, then you have to do the emotional math. At this point, doing that,
delivering services, volunteers it becomes really hard. So when you're doing stuff for free,
there's, like, legal issues, there's all kinds of shit.
When you're doing stuff for free and when you're not paying people, like, both of those things, I think it's just way easier. It's like, hi, I'm going to make a donut. The donut costs $1. I'm going to try to make it as affordable as possible. And that's something that if people think our stuff is overpriced, I think that's not really a fair criticism. Anyway, but so I think that there's, anyway,
you got to pay the coaches.
Anyway, any last thoughts or questions before we wrap up for the day?
No, I think it's it. I think this makes sense overall. Yeah,
Cool.
I think overall this makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's mostly just interesting to me because it's like it's really easy to get into a state where you're just like I'm fucking done with it.
Apply to be a healthy gamer
I
coach. I
also
assume
don't
that would be an
believe
interesting
That
interview
human
at
beings
this
were meant for the
point.
social interactions we have online.
Yep,
I just
we're not.
I don't think humans were
Yep.
built for this. I think we were built for like a little bit of friction inside of small social groups, but when you expand that to hundreds of thousands of people, no one's going to react correctly because it's just that's not what we're made for as human beings. That's
Completely
fucked
agree,
up.
man.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, I hope things calm down for you. I hope if people like watch this, like, you know, I'm sure that Thor made mistakes, but I don't think I don't think it's fair. I'll say that. I don't usually say those kinds of things, but you know,
I also will have to give it to Dr. K. Like, he didn't have to say that. If he's just out for his own skin, he's a coward. He didn't have to say that. He really didn't. And there's stuff like when he says stuff like that, where I think quite the opposite, and that's where my respect comes from.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that. Maybe I'm wrong. I wasn't there. I didn't watch it.
I'm glad
I
that
haven't seen
part
everything that
4
happened.
gets to be a little bit
But
more
I,
positive.
like, can't we agree
That's
that
good.
like death threats and harassment and things like that is enough at some point? Yeah,
I think you
and-
split groups when you say that, and some people will be like, "Well, yeah, of course that's not okay, but this thing over here is okay." But what I found that I think something that a lot of people forget online is when you make something, either a company or a person or a group, the subject of ridicule en masse, it empowers the people that think that that is an okay step. Like we see that all the time. You see that with any type of social movement. You have people that legitimately have a concern, and then you have people that light cars on fire. Like that's just how that goes. And the more people you have, the more that isolated extreme response group also expands.
I mean, what does it say about us that we have people who just like at the lightest at the earliest opportunity that they can go out and start setting people's cars on fire, that they can justify it and do it because they really want to do it. They don't really do a good job justifying those things from what I've seen. They just really want to set a car on fire. Right? I mean, they just really want to. And to me, I'm like, man, I wish that would be a kick for me.
And I don't think that everybody who
that's how bad I got it.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
The more people that don't like a person or a group, the more
that wouldn't even make me feel better.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
All right, take care, man. Thank you for coming.
You too.
Let me see if I can.
Okay, good. Wrap up on the
there we go.
on the series in early part 4.
Thoughts, questions?
I thought I was gonna have to be here for the
How do
whole
you feel
thing.
about how that went?
Oh, my thoughts. That was rough. That could have been better. Good points. Yeah, respect the honestly low key kind of coming out on Thor's side, Jason's side. At the end there, nobody clipped that up and sent it. That's for sure. But I think that just I really do think I'm right. I'm totally open to being humbled, right? I'm going to say this. I thought about this today at work, and I actually mean it. If there was like a 99% chance, I'm like 99% confident, right? I would put my life on it. I put my life on it that he's autistic. I put on it. And if that like actually is what motivated him to get evaluated, I actually think it's probably worth it. Because it's not just him and how it could change his life, but there's so many people out there that could really benefit from that kind of turnaround, that kind of like what talk about an opportunity for awareness for so many different kinds of people, for so many different kinds of people in the Twitch community. And I do see that. I do see this as an opportunity as well. I know it's like really, really a bad situation to have to go through. But I don't think it's too late. That's why I'm here. I just think that there's so many times where we gotta rule out the narcissism. I just don't think, because he's just not that good. He can't lie, dude. You didn't see him lie. You didn't catch it, right? He's either really good or he's really bad, right? It's one of the two. I think I'm gonna make my call as someone who's a pretty good lie detector. He's really bad. Just because there's so many things that he just simply does not gain from. Like a mana gem is not worth anything. You know, this wasn't worth all that. So many examples of that where it's just like, I don't think that he's doing this to save whatever resource or to greed or whatever. And you know, when people call him a roach, he could be out there being like, actually, roaching is when you run before the call is made. I ran after the call was made, so actually, it can't be roaching, right? Go talk to that guy. He was a raid leader. Him like not understanding that he could say like, well, you told me to run. What do you mean? Not understanding that is actually less incendiary than I'm out of mana. What do you want me to do? Because he's masking, right? He's trying to mask, but because it's such a chaotic environment, the mask slips. He is masking, right? People might actually think like, oh, well, I know he's hiding something. It seems like he's wearing a mask. It's literally called masking. Yeah, autistic people do it all the time because they have to, because this is how you treat autistic people. Yeah, that's why they feel like they have to do that.
So, post-game analysis. Easy. Meet people where they're at. Right?
But you actually have no idea and you're clueless where he's at. That's the sad thing, though.
People where they're at. That is the post-game analysis.
And I agree with that, and I do think you attempted that, but I just think you completely dropped the ball on it. I don't think that was done.
So people saying this was anticlimactic? Yes.
You know what? I wish that was the takeaway from this convo, is that it was anticlimactic, because people are having an expectation, and then Jason does come in here and actually does kind of destroy that expectation, that he's going to break down and start yelling and screaming about how he's better than everyone else, and that just simply does not happen at all.
So this is not supposed to have a climax. So I think this is a really good example of what we were talking about, like even Thor and I were talking about what kind of content do you want to make on the internet? You know, what did people come here for today? There's what some of y'all may have come here for, and then there's...
Yeah, you came here to see him get wrecked. And that's not what Dr. K wanted to make. And that's why he holds my respect after this video. After all the ups and downs. That's why he holds my respect.
What we're here to do.
Right? This is some base behavior right now, though.
Overlaps with what y'all come here for. And sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. And you know what? I appreciate him being polite. I get that. I'm ready to run the fade. So y'all are trash. And it's actually disgusting behavior. You pulled up into this man's stream hoping to see Jason get destroyed because y'all dumbasses don't understand what autism is. Actually get fucked. You people are fucking losers, and you should be absolutely ashamed of yourselves.
Right.
To kind of add a little bit on to what Dr. K said.
Right. So I think that, like, I thought today was very illustrative. And I hope if y'all paid attention, it was illustrative for you too.
I kind of disagree, but...
And I still think that...
Well, I guess it can still be illustrative.
Noticing the disconnects is really important. So this is a process, right? So this doesn't make sense to me is a great way to start your learning. The one piece of advice that I would give to y'all is that the moment that someone says this doesn't make sense to me, don't jam it in, right? Like things need time and space to process, to understand.
I feel like you did that a lot, though. Honestly.
And so, like, that's okay. Like, I can understand why people felt like they were disappointed with today.
But he did back off.
Okay. So
of the idea.
I think the climax that people are looking for, there's two versions of it. One is that it's not possible. I genuinely don't think that the climax that I would want is possible. The second thing is that if we pushed for that climax, there would be something that is LSF worthy, but it wouldn't be helpful for anybody.
Oh man. Yeah, he's still on that. He is still on that. He backed off, but like he backed off because bro, you had counterexamples. Yeah, he can't be that good. He can't. He's just not a good liar, guys. He's not. Everyone knows that, right? He's not a good liar. He couldn't be. He couldn't be faking that. Yeah.
Do y'all
All the examples where he's saying something, he can't just be faking it. Is what I'm saying, because he's just not that good liar. Yeah.
Would not be helpful for anybody.
If he was, he wouldn't be in the situation, right? People who are actually really crazy manipulators and narcissists never are in his position. Never. They have to mess up to Hassan's level and literally electrocute their fucking dog on stream to actually get some accountability. They have to mess up that bad. Otherwise, you people give them scot-free passes all the way through. They literally have to shock their dog on stream, and we got so many streamers still going to bat for that man. We got so many people going to bat for that man. He did it on camera.
Yeah, can you elaborate on the missing?
On his camera.
What a great.
He showed the collar and said, tried to talk about something like it's not a shock collar, bro. Like, people just looked up and because they think he thinks that everyone is as lazy as he is and won't look. That's why you gotta go look, guys. That's what a narcissist does. That's a narcissist. The difference is staggering.
So let's talk about this.
If you put Hassan in front of Dr. K for 2 hours, I put my life on him. Yeah, you're gonna get a climax out of Hassan for 2 hours. He ain't lasting 2 hours. I'll tell you that.
The missing reasons. Members of estranged parents forums often say their children never gave them any reason for the estrangement, then turn around and reveal that their children did tell them why. But the reasons their children give, the infamous missing reasons, are missing. My sons consistently refuse to...
We got a different topic. That will be wrapping it up, part 4. I will be giving a summary. I think it's an idea I had. I don't expect people to just watch these. This is way too long. I think they're too long. I'm not having a super fun time making these. But, I think that there's a lot to be said for having this out there for completeness if people want to hear it. And by all means, clip it up out of context, right? I'm really not afraid of that. If you really want to do that, it's just, I'm going to give you a warning. It's really not going to be very effective. You're going to think, well, I'll show him and then you'll do it. And you'll think you're getting a result you want, but I'm a very patient man. I don't know if that probably hasn't come out as much on this series, but I am. I didn't really want to sit through this whole thing, and I did anyway. That does have to say something for that, right? It ain't gonna work. I just know how to play the long game, all right? And stay on message, and I just know how to communicate to people, albeit sometimes aggressively. But in this case, it's imagine if I'm right. You don't have to agree with me at this point, right? Because we don't have more hard evidence. Imagine if he gets evaluated and he gets diagnosed with autism. I hope a lot of people feel really shitty and apologize. Because that would be the right thing to do, right? There have been times in my life where I'm like, if you watched all this, you know me. I went hard. Okay, I did think oh shoot, does this person have autism? Because I really hope not. Am I just bullying an autistic person for no reason? That occurs to me, right? It's I'm starting to think well, this person is just not very socially aware. This perceived slights I saw earlier, I don't think were intentional. Right? I feel that. And it's oh no. Look. So I do try to be more careful. But in this case, it's this is this man's life, and you're treating it like it's WWE. People do treat it like it's WWE. And he's almost certainly just autistic. It's actually so disgusting. Honestly, I want to do more smug laughs. I want to be as smug as possible because I want to be humbled. I want him to just do it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay. At least we're ruling something out. You know what I'm saying? At least we're trying something. Rip me, I guess, but at least he would be one step closer to finding an answer. Because I don't think narcissism's it. I just ain't it. That's just my one sentence summary. This ain't it. And with that, guys, I'll see you in the next one.